give me fire, give me that WTR.
All right. Welcome back to Wind Tunnel TV and the WTR Xfinity Series. We're at Atlanta Motor Speedway. 200 miles here tonight. And, these guys here, Bobby Terrell leading the points. I think I'm chasing a couple others in there. There's Torgensen in there, Persons in there, Sweeting. We have to go look at it. I'm not exactly sure. But anyway, I'm Dean Doucette in the booth with me tonight. Brad Patterson and TJ Bartell. Brad, good old Atlanta. We know it well, man.
Oh, absolutely. Atlanta's a great track. Still kind of the old version, not necessarily what we're running in the Cup schedule this year. The overall will probably happen before too long, but it's good to see. Good to see him out here at this old Atlanta Speedway. And right now we're at a little bit of a broadcast issue as far as sharing images and the view and whatnot, but we'll get that sort of taken away.
Yes, we do have to share our screen for the other broadcasters in the booth here. Be nice if they could see what's going on. TJ, we look at this race here tonight. Keys to the race, tires, pitting, strategy. It's kind of what Atlanta's all about out here.
Yeah, it really is, because Atlanta, even though it falls in the cookie cutter realm as far as most people look at it, this track is probably the most difficult track as far as ovals go in NASCAR to get a handle on in iRacing. And it's just about trying to get the car balanced and trying to save your tires as best you can. Oh, and by the way, make sure you pit at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. Pitting at the right time, getting on and off pit road, all huge. Tonight, the qualifying has just wrapped up, and guys will take their time gridding up here, I would imagine. Brad, start of the race here. Let's take a look at where you are. You're near, towards the back here. I don't think you really intended on qualifying anywhere but back there. What were you thinking at the beginning of this race?
Oh, at the beginning of the race, I didn't qualify very well. A situation where I took a entry lap very easy, and I was going to go for a money lap and just kind of tag the wall, which is something that you can definitely do here on the exit of these corners. You get a little bit tight in the center. You just kind of either choose to back out of it or you're going to take the wall. But for me, at least in the back, it was like, all right, so my strategy's set. It's just take care of your equipment, take care of the tires, do everything you can and not burn off the tires, and play the long run, if you will.
Yeah, I said that because at the back it's easier to do that. I was thinking the same thing somewhere towards the front here. Speaking of which, let's get in to the grid here. Tonight's starting lineup. Paul Schmallenberg in the number 90 on the pole tonight. Great lap by Paul. A time of 30.653. Tim Bill starts on the outside of row number 1. It's Bobby Terrell and Randy Ballard in row number 2. James Torrey, nice starting spot for him, 5th. Chuck Sweeting in 6th. It's Jesse Priest and Darren Bruce in row number 4. Row number 5, you have yours truly along with Michael Newbra.
It's row 6. Oh, I'm sorry. Row 6, you're going to have that 13 of Chris Stouffer. David Phillips II going to be in 12th position. 13th, Ronnie Royal. 14th is going to be that 45 of Mark Hanna. 15th, Adam Newton. TJ, our very own here, is going to start 16th. $1 Million Man, that's going to be Brandon Bakes, rolling off 17th. Bernard Person, 18th. 19th, Mike McMillan. And 20th is going to be Burt Wilson.
All right, got the $1 Million Man in there. I love that. Jason Spear, Torgensen, Cavett, Gawk, Hastings, Thompson, Buzzio, Brad, with Chandler, Turnmeyer. I don't think Turnmeyer made the field, and Jamieson will round out what would be a 30-car field.
Lots of cars on the mile and a half right now. You'd think it'd be, one of the faster races, faster tracks on the circuit, but Don't get it wrong. Yeah, this is a very tight course, kind of narrow. Definitely gets narrow on the exit of these corners. These guys got to really be watching it.
They do. TJ, just to go on that, what do you think in high line, low line? Can you ride both?
Well, that's the nice thing about Atlanta. It gives you options because you do have the ability to run on the bottom. I think, especially on new tires, the middle is a very good groove, and you can run on the top too. So guys do have options to move around as their tires dictate where they want to run.
All right, heading through the final corner here. Pace car is going to pull off. Schmollenberg and Bills, Terrell and Ballard are ready to get this thing going. Pace car off the track. The slow crawl for Schmollenberg. There he goes. Good launch. Bills in second. Terrell into third. Ballard in fourth. Sweeting in fifth. You see here early on the 14 up there drifting up the track a little bit. Coming out of the corner, keeping safe. Behind him, Ballard. Torrey falls into sixth place, gets in line. And it's Jesse Priest, Darren Bruce. There I am back in ninth. Newbra and Stouffer in the top 10 up front. Schmollenberg pulling away a little bit. Bills and Terrell chasing.
Absolutely. You saw that in the middle of 3 and 4 coming on the exit. James Torrey.
Oh, and there's a 14 loose up high down the track, and he collects Randall Ballard. Both of them save it there. Really good saves from guys, but very hard contact, and we remain under green flag conditions. These guys effectively, this is next day broadcast, it effectively took them out, both of them out for the night. I think, at least Bobby will get back out here and turn some, but that was a big, big impact here, Brad.
No, it really was. We're 3 laps into it. We've already seen a big shakeup in the field. We saw that incident right there. That's going to send, Bobby back. But at the same time, on the first lap, James Torrey coming out at exit 3 and 4 for the first time, got down on the apron. He went from starting 4th all the way back to 14th spot, lost 10 spots. So early on in this race, it really shows you the difference on, just choosing that line or maybe being a little too aggressive early. And, it just really shows how on the edge these cars are with lower air pressures.
Yeah, and one thing that those 2 incidents did was it kind of spread the field out a little bit quicker than it ordinarily would have.
Darren Bruce here with Ronnie Royal right in front. David Phillips up here as well. Phillips in this championship fight. I think he's currently in second or third. I'm not sure on that exactly. We cannot show those points on these next day broadcasts, but we'll get an update on those perhaps later on. Ooh, a little tight squeeze there. Royal looking for some racing room on the high side.
Yeah, absolutely. This really shows exactly what TJ was talking about. Being able to run different lanes. And right now, it doesn't really seem like one lane was more particularly better than the other. But we are early on in the tire run. And, the bottom lane, generally, you're going to get out of the throttle a little bit more. And I think you're going to have a little bit better tire wear on the bottom. But, that top lane, you can really roll the top and carry a lot of speed on the backstretch. Were you guys seeing any type of really big tire fall off, top versus bottom?
I think it was different. I think that you would wear out, you get looser if you run that high line than the low line for the entire run, and that was something to be cognizant of as you went through this run. A couple guys up here, Newton up in 10th place. Good to see him having a nice run, and Newbra up in 7th place. So both these guys having good runs here. Chris Stouffer up in 4th. Now I talked to Chris. Chris said he thought he had a winning car out here. He was quite happy, but I don't think he brushed the wall once or twice, and the car was just never the same. So the 13 getting into that wall, I think pretty early here. I don't know if it's already happened or not, so I might have a little spoiler alert there. They're already out there, TJ.
Yeah, and that's one thing to consider here too. Trying to run the high line, it's so easy to get into the wall, even a little bit, and you can go and scrape that wall just a little bit, and it puts just enough damage on the right side of that car, particularly the right front fender, and your car handling changes drastically.
Speaking of handling, Ronnie Royal there, loose down to the inside. I was up there making a move on Jesse Priest, couldn't get it done. Jesse, pretty strong here this evening. My car felt pretty good early on here. I thought I was in pretty decent shape. That wasn't pushing the car at all. Back a little further, the 8 machine underneath his teammate. Always dangerous, Brad. The 8, Bernard Persson.
Yeah, he really is. And right now, at this point in the race, he's going to be our biggest mover. Currently up 8 position, trying to make it 9 as he's working on the bottom. Ronnie Royal, it's kind of difficult seeing that 8 car far back as he's been the last couple of weeks as far as qualifying. Usually it starts a little bit closer to the front, but he's doing everything he can during this race. Right behind him, you're going to have Darren Bruce. Darren fell back a couple of spots early on, but it seems like those tire pressures are up and he's starting to make headway.
Darren looks strong out here. He's all over the bumper, and it's early in the run. I mean, lap 10, always want to try and take it easy for 5 or 10 laps and let those tires get on a better cycle. And some of these guys have done that, but out front, well, there's Bernie making a move. Again, I don't think he's going to get that done, and he won't. Out front, though, Schmallenberg is on rails, TJ. The 90 out here impressing from the pole.
Yeah, he put down a really great qualifying lap, and early on in the race, he had a very strong car because Tim Bills is no slouch, and he is pulling away from Tim here.
And they're all pulling away from all of us. I mean, we had Stouffer back here in 4th now. Chuck got around him so I think Stouffer did get the wall. We might have missed it there. And Jesse and the rest of us back here in 5th on back. I mean, you're talking about a 5-second gap up to our leader. So Schmallenberg is walking away.
Yeah, absolutely. He's walking away. But, we got to kind of look back at that. And, when Bobby had his little incident, Bobby was running about 3rd or 4th, I believe, maybe even 5th on the field. So that really put a little bit of a gap from our first couple of guys. And on top of that, they're able to use the entire track. They don't have any dirty air from the cars in front of them or anything like that. So they're not really abusing any of their equipment quite yet. That doesn't mean that they don't have strong cars, because they've definitely got a good piece underneath them. But, these guys in the back, Torges around, and he's battling. And, with battling, you're going to use up those tires.
Yeah, TJ, that's you on the outside. You obviously let him go there. We know you're pretty good on the long run. What are you thinking here when you see Jorgensen coming by you?
Well, I knew what my game plan was, and to me, it was just a little bit too early for me to start pushing my car. So I just let Troy and the 6 car go back by me, and I figured I'm just going to fall in behind him. I'm going to wait till a certain point in this run, and then I'm going to start driving the car a little bit more. By then, hopefully, I've saved enough tires. So that's kind of what my strategy was. Just I knew I was in the mid-pack, so it was just make my tires last.
Now, it's interesting you said that, because I've seen kind of sporadically, at least this season, more than ever. It seems like last season, you wait about 5 laps, you take care of your equipment, it really pays off huge dividends in the end. This season, I haven't really seen that payoff that we were seeing last season. Do you think it has to do with maybe a new release of a tire build, or just a little bit of different dynamics in the tracks? Because it doesn't seem like that huge payoff that we've seen in the past is really there.
That's a great point, Brad, because I've been noticing the same thing. Matter of fact, I babied my car in this first run, and I didn't see any benefit. Matter of fact, the car felt terrible. In the second run and third run, I ran much harder, and the car felt better. So I don't know. I think there's some adjustments that maybe I have to make, and I think something has happened. But TJ, I don't know what your experience has been, but I think there has been a shift in this tire model a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that, because I know the Winter Series and then testing leading up to a Winter Series, the tires then and the way you could drive them and the way you could save them was different than what you have to do now. I still haven't hit on it, obviously, but to me, there's a difference somewhere, and I just don't know what it is or how to make the most of it.
See Patrick Thompson, newcomer here, battling with Jeff Chandler back here for 22nd. Not used to seeing Jeff back here. Jeff's had a really up and down season when he's able to race, and it was very interesting. It just shows you the depth of this field. Jason Hastings right there having himself a decent night. 24th, nothing to be too happy with, but Jason looking a lot more racy here this evening. You got Buzzio and Cavett back here as well. these guys all fighting, and this is what you can expect here at Wind Tunnel Racing. I mean, you got a 5-way fight for basically, 23rd spot, something like that. So there's fights all over this track.
Yeah, there really is. And, some of these guys at the end of the races, it's always great to hear from the guys. I mean, they're running 16th, 17th, 18th, 23rd, and they're like, man, I'm sweating. I'm drenched because they were in a dogfight for 23rd. I mean, that's how deep this league is and how much every position matters. And you know what? It's all great, good, respectful racing. And it's just awesome to see these guys out here. It doesn't matter if they're running 20th, they are racing hard.
Jesse Priest here starting to creep up on Stouffer for 4th place. So the Zero Machine looking pretty good here. He's kind of left me in the dust. I was on his bumper, so I've fallen way back here. And now I got the likes of Bruce and Royal and Newbra coming up on me. I'm not too happy, to be honest with you. I like going forward. I'm not a fan of going back. I don't think anybody is.
Yeah, talking about the guys going forward right now. If we're going to look through the field here, it looks like our biggest mover currently, that's going to be that Ada Bernard person. Looks like he's going to be up 8 positions on the night. Next is going to be that 13 of Sofa that you were talking about, up 7, as well as the 98 of Torgensen. Torgensen currently in the 15th position, up 7 spots. And unfortunately, on the opposite end of that spectrum, outside of the people that are involved in any type of incidents, James Torrey in 14th, right in front of Torgensen there. Not really been able to make up any headway from that lap 1 incident so far.
Yeah, Torrey had a heck of a qualifying run here tonight. 5th, maybe one of his better qualifying runs. And just unfortunate that he got bumped back here. And now he's in a battle for every spot.
It was just so hard to make up for any mistakes. And that's one thing that we have here at WTR. It's so good to sit here and say, I love green flag racing until you make a mistake, because you can't make it up.
It's so true. I mean, it's, you're begging for a caution. I spent the majority of this night begging for a caution. As you see, Darren Burns making a move there. Teammate of mine, I told him, I think, to go ahead here. I can't really remember at this point. It's all a blur, but I'm pretty sure I said, you go ahead, take it down low. You look faster than me. But I was a little, I had 2 more guys right there behind me. I didn't want to let them all by, but my car was fading, so it is what it is. Ronnie Royal right there, Newbra, and then Person also getting into this mix.
And to touch on something that Brad just pointed out with Wind Tunnel, we don't get cautions very often. And one thing that's difficult as being the driver and the crew chief, I don't know if other guys have crew chiefs, I'm the driver and the crew chief in my car, it's a whole lot more difficult at race speed to toggle on your screen and try and make changes for an upcoming pit stop, while you're racing. If you get a caution, then you got that cool down lap when they form up the field to make those adjustments. It's a whole lot easier. When you don't have those yellows, it's tough to drive and make changes.
Well, especially when you're always under heat. I mean, this league, you can have races all the time. It's not like you can just cruise for a lap and do some adjustments. So, yeah, absolutely great point there.
Well, these guys right here continuing to battle right now. You're seeing Bernard Person working over, trying to get underneath the 56 of Michael Newbron. Right there behind him, though, he's going to have the 2 of Adam Newton. These guys, nose to tail. And this is what you get week in, week out. There's no give. I mean, you make that little mistake and all of a sudden you got 5, 6, 7 spots. You're not going to make that up. And a little I think that was you actually there, dude.
That was me getting a little wiggle going, just showing off my rear end, perhaps.
Yeah, a little Darlington stripe here in Atlanta.
I don't even know how to talk about my race. It was a frustrating event for me. Let's just leave it at that.
We'll go with out of character.
I don't know. It may be my new character. It's hard to say. We're getting old up in here. Right now, we look into Newton battling underneath Bernard Person. These guys teammates and battling pretty hard. And that's an interesting choice always when you start to battle a teammate. and especially when there's a couple cars right there, it could be a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, 26 coming to 27, or I should say 28 laps. Right at this point in time, you got to be starting to think, and you're like, okay, well, what am I going to do strategy wise? Obviously, Dean, you know that you're starting to fall back in the field. You're back to eighth place. You got about five guys right there ready to jump on you. What can you do? What kind of adjustments can you make? Are you gonna, where are you sitting there starting to think, or are you just, I'm either winning or I'm not, and I'm gonna take big risks?
I'll tell you, for me at this point in the race right now, I'm really concerned. Lap 28, I expected to be moving forward at this point. I'm moving the opposite way. I'm very unhappy with the car. I'm very unhappy with myself because my teammates told me I had the wrong. I said I trusted them and then didn't trust them. So it was a very poor decision making on my part, and I paid the price. And right now I'm under some serious heat. But as far as the adjustments and everything, I thought about it long and hard about the car and what I could do. As Newbra making a move on me there on the outside, and I just didn't know what there was anything I could do to this car to make it better. So I just thought I'd suffer with what I had, kind of pay for my decision making.
Absolutely. This
Battle off the corner. Ooh. There's contact between me and Newbra. Down the track I go. And I missed the little save I did there, but I did save it. Back on the track, virtually the whole field going by me, and yet compounding my mistakes from a bad car and a bad night to a horrible night with a, possible horrible car with contact. TJ, I mean, hopefully I don't have to talk about myself anymore. It was painful.
That is a horrible feeling. Your car's not handling the way you wanted. Then you get that wicked loose off, like you had there, a little contact. That's just a horrible feeling because now your night went from, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a bad night, to, yeah, I know it's going to be bad.
Yeah, I mean, and I was also thinking, I'm always thinking championship. Bobby Terrell was in front of me. Bobby doesn't make a mistake ever. He made one here tonight, loose on lap 2. Out of this thing, basically. You're going to finish, a sub 25th position. This was a great opportunity to not only leapfrog him, but take a commanding lead in this series. And I was already, even though my car was bad, I was thinking, hey, even top 15, you're in a great, great position. So that mistake there that I made was, I don't even know. I was very, very upset with myself. Just one of those nights. Right now, Chuck Sweeting closing in on our leader. And Brad, when you're a leader, a little damage on that 75 actually on the back end. But when you're a leader and you see the 75 starting to reel you in, it's not a very comfortable feeling.
No, absolutely not. Chuck's one of those guys that, long run speed is his forte. And, the longer the race gets, the better he gets, it seems. And, whether or not that's through setup or just the driving and being able to really save his equipment is really what we've come to see. Right behind him, we're going to have this 37 and Tim Bills. Tim, definitely under some heat right there from Jesse Prees. Stouffer, we talked about how good he's having a run earlier on. These guys up front, we're not jumping to them a bunch because the really tight racing is a little bit further back, but right now they're putting on one heck of a show as Priest is really working all over the back of Tim Bills.
And you see Priest there. That car just seems to hook up from that middle on out. He gets to the high side here. It's actually the preferred line around coming into 1 and 2. Bills, I think, backs out and says, man, you're pretty good here. So Priest already by Stouffer. I think Bruce has gotten by Stouffer as well. Darren having himself a run. But Jesse Priest, Darren Bruce, both on the move. Both looking very good.
Yeah, they really are. They're working through this field. And, we're sitting here closing on lap 35. So a lot of the guys came into this going, about lap, we're going to cut it in thirds. Obviously, we're going to have to make 2 pit stops. Nobody's really banking on a caution. So, as far as pit strategy, we're in that window where we got about another 5 or 6 laps before. And right now, Dean, you have a vehicle that's not really running that you want. You're kind of back in the field. TJ, you've kind of made up a little bit of distance. You're kind of mid-pack. What's the strategy here? Are we going to throw it all in and sit there and try to make something happen? Maybe a short pit, try to gain a little bit of track position? Or is this one of those deals where, you can't obviously make it on one tank. So, one stop's not going to happen. I mean, what's going through the minds right now as far as the pit crew, inside of that car as you're still battling?
I'll leave that to you, TJ, right now.
Well, at this point in the race, I was pretty happy with how my car was going, so I wasn't going to make any changes. My only hang up here was at this particular point is I was faster than David Phillips, I felt like, but he was in the line that I had to run at that point with the wear of my tires to get the most speed out. So I was kind of like hung up behind him, and I'm like, well, how am I going to be able to get around him? And I wasn't even paying attention to how close I was to pitting.
Yeah, it can sneak up on you here. For myself, I was regulated at 20th place, not making any headway. Matter of fact, Hastings putting me under heat, McMillan put me under heat, and I was just thinking, I'm just going to ride this thing. I mean, I'm going to try the good old strategy calls. I'll stay out as long as humanly possible and see if we can't catch one of those lucky cautions. Maybe catch the field a lap down. Wouldn't that be a bonus?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I talk to the guys often about, guys coming in this league and everything, you really got to learn the league, and you got to learn that green flag racing is a totally different monster when it really comes to that, because that mentality of like, taking that chance, where 9 times out of 10 on like an official, you put a little bit early, it's going to bite you a lot of the times. Here, it doesn't matter. I mean, you're going to gain a little bit of track position, but you know what? They're going to get it back on the backside, because that caution, it's not going to come out generally. It's an oddity that we get a caution versus the other way around, and that's both one of the most beautiful things about being in this league with the amount of drivers in here and the respectful racing that everybody does, the clean racing. And at the same time, it's one of the most frustrating things when you have a bad car on a bad night.
Absolutely is. We've seen TJ Bartel right here in the booth. Got by both Gawk and Phillips up to 12th. Starting to have a decent run going here. Adam Newton still battling with his teammate, the 8 of Bernard Persson. And I think, this is a friendly rivalry here. Maybe they're just having a little bit of fun here. But Newton's been working him over on and off here for this whole race.
Sorry, go ahead, TJ.
Yeah, I was just going to say, these guys, it seems like they've been battling since like lap 10 or 12.
And I think this goes back to what you brought up earlier. Something's changed with this car. They don't announce every little change. And there's something different here. And I think it's affecting more people, some people more than others. It's very strange. I haven't put my finger on it yet, but we'll get there. Back in Tim Bills battling with Darren Bruce now for 4th place. So Bruce coming to the front here. Lap 41, pit stops are imminent.
Yeah, lap 41, pit stops are imminent. But it's really interesting right now, if we take just kind of a shot right there, as it looks like Priest coming to pit road right there. He's going to be one of the first guys to pit road, coming down, opting to go ahead and take the undercut, trying to get a little bit of an advantage on some of the cars, maybe get out there and run a couple of laps on those fresher tires.
Bring up our pit board here. Looks like Priest, the only taker here early on. McMillan was in, actually, Mike McMillan. So the only other guy on pit road. Schmallenberg still out front. Sweeting in second. Bruce now back in third with Bills chasing. Stouffer hanging in there. But Priest, perhaps a good move here. Michael Newbraw comes in.
I think that James Torrey is going to be coming in as well. Tony Kevitt, he's going to be in. So a couple of guys starting to do it. Nothing like flooding the pit road, if you will, not yet. But, we all know it's coming.
Yeah, it's all coming for sure. And, these leaders are going to come in here sooner than later. They go by one more time. Bills, Stouffer's going by. Oh, Bills did come in. Late entrance there by Bills.
Now we're going to have to see what exactly happens, because we know now that Jesse Priest came in at least a full 3 laps earlier than Schmallenberg, who still hasn't come to pit road yet, or Sweeting. So it's going to be interesting to see just where that cycles out from getting that 2 or 3 lap advantage on fresher tires.
Keep a quick look on some of these lap times. We watched TJ Bartel come in too. These are very important on pit road. to see how much time these guys. You have the time, the up and down time from the gas and the tires. Newbrow with a slow time at 17.4. That really hurt him. And then you have the other time, which is your pit lane time. So sometimes you can see big discrepancies here. It looks like everybody in that 44 to 45 second range in that. Royals in, Newton, Person, Spear, a whole team. Spear comes in, Hastings and Chandler are in. Here comes our leader, Paul Schmallenberg, to the pits.
And Paul did a really good job hanging on to that lead because the whole time there, Chuck was stalking him, but he never got to him. And Paul did a great job of leading that thing for the whole till he pitted.
Yeah, Paul definitely early favorite here to win this race. David Phillips in here as well. Gawk's in. Bert Wilson, haven't mentioned him tonight, in the Nerds machine. Sitting here, coming in from a good spot. So Bert Wilson quietly having a good run. Here comes Chuck Sweeting, and a little bit of puff of smoke there. Pretty aggressive entry for the 75.
Yeah, that's actually going to turn the lead over to the 45 of Mark Hanna. It's going to leave Hanna out on the track. Patrick Thompson's going to be on the track. Dean yourself is going to be out on the track, and I believe Bobby Terrell, he's going to be the last of the cars that have yet to pit. But what's very interesting is right there, you're going to see in sixth place, that's going to be Jesse Priest. He was our first car to pit lane. It's going to be interesting is the time gap, if you will, between Priest and Schmallenberg as far as how much of a difference those 2 or 3 laps that Priest had out on the track where Schmallenberg was still out there running with older tires. Ooh, big lockup from Hanna.
Oh, and a little, that's going to be a penalty, I believe, on Mark Hanna. So tough break there for the 45.
Spoiler alert, might be a penalty.
What's that?
Said spoiler alert, may not be the only penalty.
Yeah, may not be the only penalty indeed. Patrick Thompson out here, newcomer. I love what I've seen out of Patrick. The 99 machine, this is a quality racer. Don't mistake what you've seen from him. He's just riding right now, making friends. He's running out here clean. He's doing everything an owner could ask out of a new driver. You don't ever even have to call his name. I mean, I'm calling him out because first he's in the lead now, but second, just to give him some credit. I mean, TJ, you know what I like from these new guys, and this guy has impressed me a great deal so far.
Yeah, I gotta say he's been very impressive with how he conducts himself and how he races. And we've got a lot of new guys with the start of the season that have come in here and done a really good job. Really, really awesome adds to the league.
Yeah, I mean, last year it was Phillips and Schmallenberg were just a couple, and we were how impressed we were with them, and now they're racing towards the front, and I think that's what we'll see from Patrick Thompson in races to come or in seasons to come. I'm your new race leader, and I stayed out to get this point because it might be the only way I could get a point out here tonight. So I thought, what the heck? And I think it kind of frustrated Bobby. Bobby was thinking of staying out to grab a point, but I stayed out so long. And now Jesse Priest, who was the first into the pits, has gotten by Bobby Terrell. That's going to send Bobby to the pits. I don't even know if Bobby could have led a lap. I don't know what kind of situation he was in after that loose and that damage. He probably could. Or I guess he could have led a lap if I pitted. But nonetheless, Priest back out here, and he is the leader once I pit. But I'm out here, Brad, and I'm thinking, come on, caution, please, one time.
You know it ain't gonna happen.
Oh no, he's thinking like Sunday drive. He's not even trying at this point. Oh wait, whoa! Come on now, you're on pit road. You can't be driving through there like that.
That was a little quick. I don't think that's going to hold. And I did, in fact, get a penalty. So.
Well, why don't you just sit there and think about what you did while everybody else?
I know. Well, my pit crew broke out the ice cream. And they said, we're going to take a 40-second break here, have some ice cream. And
well, I'll tell you what, while that was going by, though, you did relinquish the lead back to Jesse Priest, who was the first car on the pit road, and that definitely paid dividends. But what we didn't see was Tim Bills getting by on the racetrack by Paul Schmallenberg as Schmallenberg is working the bottom right now to get back by them. So, and I believe Tim Bills pitted maybe a lap or two earlier as well. So, a little give and take here as far as, the pit road and that 1 or 2 lap fresher tires we're seeing right here.
Yeah, 2 laps earlier was Bill's, and this was a big key in the race, I think. Schmallenberg was so good early on, but now he's down on the bottom here fighting a high-quality racer like Tim Bills. Bill's not giving it up here and riding the high side. There's no reason he really should. The 37 has put him to task, and this might be burning up his stuff a little bit, TJ. The 90, I mean.
Well, that's exactly right, because before the pits, Schmallenberg could run wherever he wanted, however he wanted, being the leader. And here, being back in traffic behind, now he's got to pass Tim Bills, who's not an easy pass. He's a fast car. So it's necessarily going to do damage to those tires trying to get around him. And as he's trying to get around the 37, Jesse Priest is saying thank you and driving away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chuck's kind of saying thank you, too.
Oh, that's right. Chuck's licking his lips, if you will, coming up on the back of that 37 with 10 Bills, thinking, okay, I'll have my try. As you see him kind of work to the bottom, get to the bottom of the exit. He's going to exit on the bottom, try to pull even down this backstretch and be able to possibly complete a pass going into 3.
And we'll stay with this down into 3, side by side. The 75 and 37. Chuck, a big drive on the bottom. He's going to clear him, and that's how you get it done right there.
And somewhere around this lap is where my night ended, basically. At least for a chance at a good finish.
Here's TJ, and we're battling with Adam Newton here. These guys driving hard. Newton, we've seen him battling with teammate earlier on, Bernard Person. TJ just letting him go there, taking it easy, as you do early in these runs. Kind of a long run racer. Always like that about you. Sitting there in 11th, TJ. What were you feeling at this time? You thought you had a pretty good car at this point?
Yeah, I thought I was doing pretty good. The race was kind of coming to me the way I wanted it to. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to be a threat to win, but I felt like, my car was capable of a top 10 at least. And I was just kind of riding right here. If the opportunity presented itself to get back around Newton, I was going to take it, but I was pretty happy riding behind him here.
Behind them, you got Troy Torgensen slowly making progress in this race. He is now up 10 spots. Back up here, Newton a little loose there, and you close in on him. We'll stay up here for a minute and watch this battle.
I think it's the next lap that it happens.
Yeah, it's very interesting though. Just from a standpoint of just watching it. I mean, 2 completely different lines, and you kind of come together. Seems like you definitely have a little bit more straightaway speed, coming off that top side. But right here in 3 and 4, you guys are really running the same line, but the difference in lines on 1 and 2 is just incredible, and you're really seeing the difference in speeds on that backstretch.
Yeah, you get a really good run off the top side, and I was pretty happy. I felt like I was driving pretty easy there, so I wasn't, I didn't feel like I was abusing the car, and I was still getting pretty good runs, so.
And that really high line in 1 and 2, getting those big runs down the straightaway, coming back on Newton already, and that's kind of how it is. It's always a tricky part, TJ. Do you let someone go and chase him back down about 5 or 10 laps later, or do you try and hold him off and keep him behind you for those 5 or 10 laps?
At Atlanta, I think it's fine to let him go, because I felt like I could catch people later on, because this one's a little bit more tire sensitive than a lot of tracks are, where you would want to stay ahead of them and keep that track position. Here I felt like my car got better compared to the competition the longer I ran, so I was pretty happy to, just take what I had right here and just kind of ride and save things.
Yeah, not to take anything away from this battle that's heating up right here, but we got a change for the lead. It looks like Schmallenberg actually to the front, brought Chuck Sweeting with him as Jesse Priest. Back to 3rd place, Darren Bruce is currently in our 4th position. Tim Bill's all the way back to 5th. Continue to watch this battle right now going on.
Yeah, we come to this a little early for a reason. We're going to stick with it now. We invested some time in it, but We're going to see what happens here. We'll get back. We'll get some replays on what happened up front. And Schmallenberg, your new race leader here.
I think it's this lap, but I'm old. I'm forgetting.
So am I, TJ. Don't worry about it. It's an interesting little battle because I'm enjoying watching the dynamic of the different lines here. You know, your high line there just looks so smooth. You look so good up there right now, and that's something you're known for. Here you go, making a swing to the inside. That's going to put Newton in unfamiliar territory. Both of you are. You're low. He's high now as a switch. You pushed up a little bit, come back down. Everything's good here so far to the start-finish line, and you can tell your car just a little better. I'm not sure how good or comfortable you are on the bottom quite yet, though.
Well, at this point, I felt like I was faster and needed to pass, but, you know, I couldn't get him off the corner on the top, so when he kind of got a little loose there, I figured, well, I'm going to dive under him with this run and see if I can get it done on the bottom.
Here we go through 3 and 4. Still pushing. Newton really pushing, trying to hold you off here.
And I can tell you that's the frustrating thing about like this league. The competition's so good. Everybody's so good here. At this point, you're thinking, I really wish you would just let me go.
Yeah. And, you know, I hate to put it this way, but we're in the broadcast. The payoff's coming, and it's not going to be a great thing for TJ to relive here, but we're gonna watch it nonetheless.
I thought it was earlier than
yeah.
this.
If you say it's this lap, I might come down there. Do something.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now, TJ, you know, we've all been on both ends of this, and I just kind of want to expand on something you just said there. You know, you're riding behind him, you're like, man, if you could just let me go at this point in time. You know, shoes on the other foot, you know, you're Adam Newton, and you're sitting there going, man, I'm holding him off. I'm doing exactly what I need to do. There's nothing to say that even if he, you know, moved over, that you'd be able to actually complete the pass on him. You know, we're not putting blame on any driver right here to make sure.
All right. Well, we're going to have to abandon this, unfortunately. We can't stay there for this many laps. Schmallenberg is taking the lead. And I promise you, we're going to get to some replays here. Keeping an eye on my timing here to see when that other incident occurs, and we'll flash to it. And then we'll get some replays of what's happened up front here. Right now, Schmallenberg back on the point, swinging to second. Bruce has just got by Jesse Priest. So Priest, you know, he did that early pit stop. It kind of paid off early. Here's starting to fade, and it's Darren Bruce now on the move.
Yeah, and you know, Schmallenberg did a great job working his way back up to the lead there. So he's got to be feeling pretty good about that, and he's still holding Chuck off. The question here is if you're Jesse Priest, that early pit, you know, paid off on the short run, but what do you do for the next pit? Do you go a little bit longer so you're on the same tires as these guys, or do you try it again?
Yeah, that's a great question because it's a really hard choice, but I think you've already seen like the short run will get you the lead, but you're not going to be able to keep it. So you're probably going to have that minimum pit when they do, but we'll see how that choice plays out. Here we go. Schmallenberg. Oh, that's underneath Glenn Jamieson. So the 90 working some lap traffic here. Glenn doesn't look like he's too far off the pace though here. He could cause some problems for these guys.
Yeah, and that's the thing here. You know, traffic comes into play, and you know they're running their line, and you got to make your way around them. And the problem that can come out of that is if you're the leader, if you catch that car at the wrong spot and Chuck catches them at the right spot, it gives Chuck an opportunity to get around you.
You missed whatever happened there. You can see that Newton down the track and your front end. Let's just go back a little bit here and have a look at it. I mean, we waited long enough. We need the payoff at this point. You see Newton gets into the wall here and then comes off the wall under braking. You're into him. Really egregious amount of damage to your car for what, you know, was a fairly hard impact. But I thought taking your front end off was a little bit much for my racing there.
Seemed a bit extreme because I didn't hit him, you know, that awful hard. And he didn't do anything wrong. He just got a little loose and caught the wall a little bit there. And there's just no way that you can just hook left or jam on the brakes. You're just going to hit him anyway. So I tried the best I could, and just couldn't avoid him.
All right, let's go back a little bit here and first we'll see Jesse Priest passing Paul Schmallenberg. Now this is on lap 58. These guys battling heavy. My goodness, all three of them in here. Wow. The 90 down low. Priest on the high side, so Schmallenberg gets on by. Now Sweeting going to make a move here.
Tell you, Paul had a really strong car to be able to swing that down to the bottom here and make this pass.
Well, keep in mind at this point here, the tire advantage is kind of flipped. Where Priest came in, I believe Priest came in 4 laps earlier than Schmallenberg and Sweeting. So right now they're going to be on the better set of tires. And it's interesting right now, as it's standing though, Priest is actually not falling off too far, real time, if you will, versus what we've seen some of the other guys.
There I come. I don't know what I'm doing. Probably 3 laps down. Pretending like I might take in the lead here. But nonetheless, Schmallenberg back out front where he belongs. And we'll stick with this momentarily before we go back to a little further up the race. We'll have to do some manipulating to get those laps back. I forgot about that. Here we go. Chuck Sweeting making a move underneath Schmallenberg. And let's just stay with this action. Once this is all filed out, we'll skip ahead about 20 laps here.
And you see the run that Schmallenberg was able to get coming off of 2 on the high side. Chuck had position on him, but he just couldn't make the pass stick. And Schmallenberg, with that momentum, stays in front.
Yeah, I didn't really see the effects of the draft that we've seen. Another one of those things from seasons past, if you will. Generally, you could really tuck up behind somebody, and you definitely had a great advantage being the car trailing. Because you had full draft. It just wasn't there. It didn't seem like you could really get a very good run on somebody just because you had their draft.
Do a little fast forward action as the guys hit the gas pedal, hit the turbo, and off to the races they go.
That's why I couldn't catch him.
Bobby in the mix here. Bobby Terrell, kind of, just doing what I had to do. You got to go by him. So Bobby's coming by, and it allows Paul to kind of hold that lead for another lap or two. But maybe it gives Chuck a chance here to kind of size him up and regroup a bit too.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the biggest key here is, Jesse Priestley's still right there. Darren Bruce is there. We've got our top 4 all within a second and not really falling off because these guys are battling. I think that's the most biggest difference between that first run that we had and the second run, where these guys continue to battle, so they're not really able to run away from anything. And I think that's going to be one of the most important things, when this whole race is over, if you will, going into the next set of pit stops. They're not really able to run away from each other like we saw in that first stint.
No, and Darren, you can't sleep on Darren Bruce. I mean, Jesse having a nice run. He was in a little earlier. The leaders are right there. I mean, they're under a second. Both these guys are under a second behind our leader. So Bruce and Priest are right there in this mix. This is huge. I mean, we're halfway through the second run. You got another pit stop to go. Any 4 of these could win this race. It's really going to come down to strategy. TJ, what are you doing if you're one of these guys?
I think if you're Darren or if you're Jesse here, you got to be feeling pretty good because you've closed up on the leaders quite a bit from what you had on the first run. So you're really in good position. You're not way behind them. I mean, you can see them. They're right there. So you got to be thinking this next pit stop's going to make or break this race for me having a chance to win. But I've done what I needed to do to get to this point. So these guys are in awesome spots right here.
They are, and you can see here in our fast motion as we try and skip ahead a little bit without skipping. Darren is actually running these guys down, and Jesse's doing a great job of staying with them. So all guys doing a great job. Chuck making another move, can't get it done. Darren now behind the lap car as I try and talk in fast motion.
And hats off to Schmallenberg here because one of the guys that you don't want to see in your mirror if you're the leader is Chuck Sweeting because everybody knows how good Chuck is and how calculating he is and good on the long run. And Paul has done a whale of a job staying in front of him.
Well, you
Yeah.
talked about it earlier, somebody else running your line, the line that you need to be fast. I mean, how much of that is happening right now? We see them both running the top side in 1 and 2. 3 and 4, a completely different line generally what we're seeing between Sweeting. Oh, we see right
Oh,
Looked like Schmallenberg grazed the wall there a little bit.
yeah, let's go back. We'll get down to some normal human speed here. Let's have a look here. Schmallenberg coming in. And yeah, he just, you do that sometimes. You just a touch too high and the wall will grab you. Wow, that's really, Paul's been so perfect tonight. He had to be really down about that one little error. And now Chuck's in the lead. Darren Bruce right there. Jesse Priest as well as we're on lap 72 now, the 125. Pit stop's about 10 laps away. But to your point, Brad, the Highline thing, there's a lot of things about guys running your lines and all that stuff. But what I noticed is I think Chuck learned something. I think, Chuck's not immune from learning. And I think he watched what Schmallenberg was doing and he started to gravitate towards the same line. He said, that's really working. I'm going to try that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of those things, though. I mean, you got to be where they're not if you're going to make it speed. And right now we saw that. The guys were kind of both running the top side in 1 and 2, if you will, but 3 and 4 they had totally different um, lines, if you will. And it's interesting to see that he actually got a little bit damaged there. It would be Schmallenberg. See just how much that affects it because we all know, you get in that wall a little bit, and sometimes you can be okay. Sometimes you lose 2 tenths.
How about Troy Torgensen? Torgensen early in the race was somewhere around where I was, between 15th and 20th place. Didn't look good. Car didn't look good. I don't know if he threw some adjustments at it or what, TJ, but here's a guy capable of winning any race that he enters, Troy Torgensen, and now somehow up 12 spots into 10th place.
Yeah, that's the thing about Troy. He can always find a way to end up with a good finish, even if his car's a little off in the beginning of the race. He's one of those guys that doesn't abuse his stuff, doesn't usually cause any incidents, damage to the car, and apparently probably makes some good adjustments on pit road because he's way up from where he started.
Yeah, he absolutely is. And right underneath him, Michael Newbraw as well. What a run for him. The 56 machine showing 6 on his car. As these Drinking Bros guys, they like their private numbers and private parts. But nonetheless, Newbraw up here now getting by him, as does Gil Gawk. Gawk having a nice run.
Yeah, Gil Gawk's having a nice quiet run. He's been bit by a lot of bad luck, it seems, lately, and it's nice to see Gil having a good run out here. He's really looking good.
I'm still trying to get over the Drinking Brothers thing.
I'm still waiting for a comment from you.
Yeah, yeah. No,
little inside
jokes
jokes out there. People can't let you in on those ones.
No. But you know what? If we're going to focus in on that 56, we're going to have to go one in front of him. That's going to be that 88. Brandon Banks, the $1 Million Man right there, having a good run, up 8 spots on the night. One in front of him, that's going to be Bernard Person, up 10. But you talked about it so far, the man that's made the most moves of the night, that's going to be that 85 of Gil Gawk in the 11th position, up 13 on the night. Gil doing exactly what he needs to do, being quiet about it, methodical, making his way through this field.
Yeah, another guy we don't give enough airtime to. Gil, I mean, I don't know if I want to divulge his age or whatever, but let's just say that Gil's a senior citizen. So Gil out here, and that shouldn't mean a whole lot, but I am impressed by it because I figure I'm kind of old out here doing it. Gil, much my senior, out here approaching the top 10, now battling for 10th place with Michael Newbraw. I mean, Gil has just been fantastic, man, and what he's doing, you can't take a thing away from the 85.
And he's doing that on one of the most difficult racetracks we race at, so that's adds to the impressiveness of this.
Absolutely, it does. Very impressed with Gil having himself a really nice run behind him. Jason Spear. Haven't talked about Jason here tonight at all. Quietly, just like Troy, both these guys up 9 spots. So the 83, doing what he does too. He's a long run guy too. I mean, we've got a lot of them. Some doing better than others. The 83, one of the better ones at it. You can see him going up in that high line too.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of hate to say it, but we look through our top 20 in all reality. I mean, you got +5 spots, +4, -3, +7, +4, +10, +8, 13, 9, 9. A lot of guys that have come from a little bit further back in the field, if you will, not necessarily the guys that qualified up front. You know, definitely showing their way. Whether it be from bad luck or an incident on the racetrack or something like that. But a lot of guys had to fight their way through this field to get exactly where they are. And it's great to see these guys up front.
And now we see Jesse Priest making a resurge heading towards the front as he's got around Schmallenberg. It's kind of weird, with those older tires. Now he's faster than the guys that have newer tires.
I mean, I gotta think that's a from those two battling, Sweetie and Schmallenberg, just really trying to go after each other. I gotta think that you see him right there, Priest even a little bit loose right there. Bruce, I'm sorry, yeah. But I mean, just that battle that wasn't there in that whole first stint. I think that really made a difference as far as Sweeting and then Schmallenberg. How much is that damage? Really hindering that car now.
Yeah, you got a good point. It could be, but these are all top-notch racers, and Priest has shown all night he's really good on the long run. I mean, with 5-lap older tires, roughly, I'm not sure on the number, but he has shown even with those older tires, this long run. We get to the late stages of it, and he starts coming forward. I mean, if this run was 50 or 60 laps, he'd probably be at the front. But nonetheless, we're almost here at pit stop time. The window is open. It's Sweeting up front, Priest in second, Schmallenberg third, Bruce all over him here, looking to get by him here, getting down to the low side.
All this happening right as we're starting to close in on the pit stops. We're at lap 83 coming to 84, so you got to think these guys are looking to be pitting in the next 2 or 3 laps. Actually, Mike McMillan into pit road as we speak, so pit stops are starting. It's going to be a matter of who's going to blink first right here in our top 4, because you could really just kind of throw the wool over everybody right now in the blanket, if you will, and our top 4 is going to be right there.
Yeah, and I mean, I gotta say, at this point in the race, Chuck Sweeting out here leading. You got about close to a second on Jesse as Darren finally may get that pass done. TJ, you're coming up in the mix. Yes, Darren does get it done. Chuck out front like this, he's almost unbeatable. So, he's definitely the favorite at this point in that race. Teammate to Gil Gach, by the way.
Yeah, the guys behind him that are chasing it, and this has got to be a bad feeling because we know how good Chuck is, and we know Chuck is good on the short run. Chuck's good on a long run. Doesn't seem to be the tracks he's not good at, so that's got to have the guys behind him worried a little bit.
You see Gil locking him up there. I don't know if that was a penalty. That looked pretty hot from Gil Gach coming in. Bring up our pit board here, and we'll see. That's Jesse Priest. So first in last time, first in again from our leaders. Actually, Schmallenberg comes in from behind him. Bills, Royal, all in on pit road. Very interesting development here.
That's going to leave Chuck Sweeting still on the track, as well as Darren Bruce. I would expect to see these guys, those two guys, come in with the next lap, possibly even this lap, trying to make sure that they cover this move.
Yeah, you kind of wonder what are Chuck and Darren thinking at this point? Do they think, hey, we got to get in there because they've pitted, or do they think, hey, we want to go a couple more laps and have fresher tires? And the question's answered.
Yeah, Sweeting and Gach are in. Banks is in as well. He's smoking them down. I think he's all right. Hard to tell. That's going to relinquish the lead over to Bernard Person. He's got Chris Stouffer right there with him. And like we said earlier, Chris, got in the wall a little bit there. Kind of hurt his car. He had to kind of hang on the rest of the way, but he thought he had a winning car. Patrick Thompson now third place. Jason Hastings as well. Let's give him a shout out. In fourth place here, the 17. having himself a really solid run here.
Yeah, he's another one of those guys that just goes out there, drives a good race, good clean race, races hard, and doesn't make a lot of fuss and feathers. And at the end of the night, he ends up usually with a halfway decent run.
Well, there's one thing I got to ask both you guys, as longtime professionals, if you will, within this league and whatnot. When do you know your strategy is a bust, if you will? You decided, hey, I'm going to go in early. I need to run it a little bit longer on this run, or hey, I ran it long and I made my gaps up, if you will. You know, rather than sitting there going, okay, well, I'm going to run it for another 6, 7, 8 laps because I can do that. When do to get the most benefit out of your strategy call that, hey, I could go another 10 laps, but I need to pit now because I'm going to lose that time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the earlier you give up on something that doesn't work, and the better. So it's all about how much stubbornness you have with it, really. I think, and in the situation, I mean, if you're going to go long, I mean, you have to commit to it, right? You're really only hoping and dreaming for a caution at this point in the race to go long. Like Patrick Thompson right now leading the race. I mean, TJ, he'd stay out here and run this thing dry and just pray for a caution.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a guy that was running mid-pack, this is not a bad play because if he gets a caution at the right time, he's going to come up smelling like roses. So, he's not really going to lose too much because he was running mid-pack, where if he gets a well-timed caution, that changes his whole outlook on how he can finish this race.
Well, I guess
now,
that's
Brad, hold on, Brad. Let me pose a question to you. What about the fact that you can cause a caution or be a caution? I mean, you watch here, guys just driving by him left and right. Some of them coming up on him 2 and 3 wide, wanting to get by a much slower car. How much danger has he put himself in here?
No, absolutely. I mean, at the same time, though, I mean, I kind of think about that, just what you're saying, running mid-pack. Well, there's a difference between finishing top 15 and finishing 30th because you committed to a strategy hoping for a caution. And I think this league being one of them, there's more often the chance that you're not going to get a caution than you actually will get a caution. So, I mean, you kind of play your percentages without a doubt. But, I mean, at what particular point do you, if you are that mid-packer, I mean, nobody wants to throw away a top 15, especially if you're a mid-pack guy running, 15th to 25th, if you will. You want to, we have a lot of good drivers right now having bad nights. You want to capitalize on that.
So we're speaking about short run, long run, different strategies and all that. Right now, Jesse was first in again. Now, Chuck came in a little closer than he did last time, and he's back here on the bumper. TJ, if you're Chuck Sweeting, now, are you thinking, hey, I'm a good long run racer, I'll show you what long run is? Or are you thinking, I got to get by this guy now because even on old tires, he's showing late in the run, he's going to go.
Well, the thing is, for Chuck's perspective here, when Priest pitted real early, that last pit stop before this one, and he took the lead, you passed it back. So you think, big deal. But then at the end of that run, the zero was starting to catch Chuck again. So that's got to be in Chuck's mind. So right now he's got to be thinking, hey, I've got to find a way to get around him now and see if I can't keep ahead of him, because passing him later on, they may not get that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree, but in thinking, I'm trying to get in Chuck's head, and well, Chuck looks like he's definitely trying to make a move, but I might be thinking, I gotta save something. I gotta try and get around him and still save because of how dangerous he is. Right now, they got Patrick Thompson with brand new tires right in the mix there too, and this is bringing Schmallenberg right back in the pictures. So our top 3 under a blanket here. Let's check in on Darren Bruce. Bruce back about 2 seconds to our leaders, so the 4. Let's look in the pit stops and see what happened with the 4. So a 43.8 pit time compared to a 43.6s for our 2 leaders and a 44.1 for Schmallenberg. So nothing wrong there, but that does not reflect exit. Exit is something that people forget about all too often.
Yeah, it really is a very important thing, not even just coming down a pit road, being able to get off and have that momentum. We see right now is Chuck Sweeting, getting underneath Jesse Priest here, able to do a slide job right there on the exit of the corner and be able to really clear him. One thing I was kind of thinking about here is, Sweeting really was able to be a beneficiary of the last round of pit stops prior to this. He came out third, and the battle was really between the 90 and Jesse Priest as far as that. He was able to kind of conserve his stuff early on. Right now, he comes out right in the thick of things, and he's the one battling with Jesse Priest. Now, he's on the top side, battling it. So he really hasn't had to push his car early on. So, it could be an advantage to Priest knowing that he's been able to kind of put his car through the paces and know exactly how it's going to react.
Well, Brad, you talked about taking someone's line. I mean, Chuck running that high line up there, that's kind of Jesse's line. So this made it very, very difficult on Jesse. I just want to shout out Patrick Thompson again. Look at him up here on fresh rubber, right here. Now, there's no doubt he could get up here and make a move. He is not, and this is purposeful. I mean, I think he's going to now. Like, he wants to make a move, but he also doesn't want to affect this race. And I love that because we're seeing some fantastic battling out of Jesse and Chuck here at the front.
Yeah, I think that's a very classy move because he is on new tires. He is faster than these guys, but he doesn't want to affect the outcome of this race.
Yeah, it's just a class act. And I mean, this is something, I'm not saying this is what every racer should do, but a new racer, you want to make some friends out here, one of the best things you could do is not make a name for yourself for being, overly aggressive. And I know for a fact this is what he's doing. Patrick is going to be a front runner at some point in this league. Right now, Sweeting, Priest, Bruce, 2.09 back from our leader, status quo. He's got Schmallenberg right there, and Schmallenberg has got to be kicking himself. Brad, I don't think the 90 very happy even in fourth place.
No, absolutely not. He's running a fantastic race all night. I think that, we didn't think it was very much contact, if you will, getting into that wall going into 3. I think it was a little bit more than we all thought, and unfortunately in situations like this, you're battling for lead. You can't sit there for 4, 5, 10, 15 seconds of damage repair. And if you don't get a caution, you got what you got. And that's one of those deals where, it's so hyper competitive as far as, not making any mistakes. And that's really what you got to do to be able to bring one of these home.
And also, how much does that kind of make you gun shy to run that line as close to the wall as you were? Does it make you kind of keep a lane down just because, hey, I don't want to do that again? Does it mess with your head?
Yeah, it really can. I mean, that's one of those things they always got to battle. Right now we're showing the 24 Ronnie Royal. He's going to be currently up 6 positions, but, you got to really tip your hat to that driver right in front of him, Bernard Person, just kind of, waging his war through this, up 12 spots, right there. You got Brandon Banks up 9 spots, Stouffer right behind him. He's going to be up 2, and then we get back to Torgensen up 10, and Jason Spear, little engine that could, if you will, just kind of grinding it out every single week in, week out, in a battle right now, trying to take over that 10th position to put himself in the top 10. So Jason having a very good, quiet night tonight, which is exactly what he wants to do.
Yeah, the 83, man, over the last year or so has been a steady improvement out of the 83 and his speed. I mean, he's always been a decent racer, but the speed is coming along now, and I think he's getting happier. Jason's always frustrated, so he's still going to want top 5s and wins, but he's moving in the right direction, TJ. I've been very impressed with the progress of the 83.
Absolutely, and I think this league has really been a reawakening for Jason because there's not a lot of wrecks in this league that used to plague Jason, getting caught up in other people's stuff. And when he doesn't get caught up in stuff not of his doing like this, he shows that he can run in the top 10, top 5.
Yeah, he definitely can, and he is. A great night for the 83. Torgensen, of course, doing all he can here which is not a great car, I don't think. I don't think he liked what he had. Up 11 spots, though. Gawk, but up front, we got a battle. Side by side for the lead. Priest trying to make a move on the low side. Almost contact there. 75 is Sweeting trying to hold him off from the top side. Priest, pretty good drive down into 1 here. He's going to throw it in pretty deep.
Yeah, Priest trying to get that working on the bottom. If he's able to get clear, he's going to be able to slide right up in front of him. There's not really going to be a whole lot that Chuck Sweeting can do. As right now, Priest to the lead.
Jesse Priest with 21 laps remaining takes the lead away from the 75. I could count on one finger how many times I've seen that happen.
Yeah, and right now, unfortunately, that 17 of Jason Hastings, he's going to be right there. Currently in our 20th position, he's doing everything he can to try to get back by it. But, how much is this going to affect it? I don't even want to say that it's going to affect it. I think Priest is just starting to set sail.
I think Jason's got a fast enough car to get up and in here, but he's got to get by both, right? You don't want to get in the middle right where he is right now. So that's the problem with trying to get up here and run your own race. You got a right to run your own race. You got a right to every spot on this track. But if you're going to clear, get up here and get clear is what the leaders are thinking with 20 to go. And I know because we have a look back here, drop back. There's me, and I'm coming. I just went by a teammate of mine, Darren Bruce. So Darren Bruce sitting in third position, and I went by Darren and went zooming up here, and I don't know where I was going or what I was doing, but I was just racing, and my car was pretty hooked up at this point. But when I got up here, I didn't want to affect this race. It might have took me a minute to recognize, but by the time I got up here, I decided, well, I don't think I really want to get up here and affect this thing, and we'll see how that plays out.
I think that's going to be the quote of the night. I don't know where I was going or what I was doing, but where I was going.
That's it. Well, what we were doing is me and Bobby, I was about 3 laps down or something, and Bobby's about 6 laps down. We started racing each other because we both pitted at the same time, so we were kind of having our little, just for fun race, and I don't think it was, neither one of us were particularly racing, but we did pit at the same time, and you just get caught up in it a little bit.
Absolutely, but you know what? Hey, it kind of speaks to it. You're a couple of laps down, and you're racing another guy a couple of racks down, but you're racing them still, and that's one of the fun things. You're turning laps, if you will. For all access purposes, we all know that, but you're still racing. You're out there with a purpose. You could have just pulled it over and quit and said bye-bye, but no, that's not what this is about.
Well, that's what you see here. You're Darren in third now, so I backed off. I got on the radio with Bobby and basically said, what am I doing up here? Let these guys race. And I told Darren, come on, get up here and go on by. See if you can go get him, buddy. And we sent the 4 on his way. I mean, Darren, really good night. Let's talk a little bit about that 4 machine. Darren Bruce, just solid all night long. You know what he did that I didn't do is he listened to his teammates. He worked hard this week, and he's up here getting these dividends paying off.
Yeah, he had a good, solid run, good, solid car all night long, and he didn't do anything wrong, made no real mistakes on the racetrack, and he's going to end up with a shot at a really good night here.
And he's closing. I mean, Bruce now 2.2 from the lead, and coming. He's coming. There's no doubt about it. Schmallenberg relegated to 4th place right now, and it's a great finish, but he isn't happy. Tim Bills, we haven't talked a lot about Tim. What a solid run for the 37. Back here in 5th now, he was up at the front at one point, or very close to it anyway, and he may not be ecstatic with 5th, but any top 5 in this league, you got to be happy, and it looks like he's all alone here, and this is good. Oh, and he's in the wall a little bit.
That's what we call a commentator's curse.
That is the commentator's curse. No real harm there for the 37, but great night for Tim Bills. Now, let's talk champions. Bernard Person, our champion here at Wind Tunnel Racing, up into 6th place. He's really had a ho-hum night all night long. Not particularly great, not particularly bad, but now, here it is, 13 to go. He's up 12 spots, TJ, sitting in 6th place. This is kind of what champions do.
Yeah, I mean, he took a night that could have gone the other way, and he's just plugged away at it very solidly, and here he is running a very strong 6th place.
You got Ronnie Royal, another guy very quietly into 7th place. And when I say quiet, it just means that we haven't called on him much. I mean, we missed some of their action here and there. Can't cover everybody, but Ronnie Royal, solid racer out here, having a solid night. $1 Million Man, the 88, Brandon Banks out here, and he's looking to take that 7th place away right now.
Yeah, absolutely. They're continuing to battle right now. Ronnie Royal, we saw it dealing with a loose condition on that last exit of the corner turn 2. The car almost snapped on. You see it again right there, having to chase it up. That car just not quite where it needs to be for Ronnie Royal. Ronnie Royal back to the 8th position. I think he's just going to milk this one, get it home in the 8th position as the 88 of Banks gets by him. Right behind him, you're going to have that 13 of Chris Stouffer. We talked about it earlier on. Stouffer not having the night he wanted, thought he had a winning car, a little bit of contact with the wall, and the car just really hasn't been the same.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be very disappointed with 9th, but still a solid finish. Spear, we just talked about, nice run in the top 10. Torgensen, another championship-style run, up 11 spots, salvaging a bad night in 11th. Newbra, good run for Michael, up here in 12th position. Someone gets loose in the background there. Gil Gox up 11, having himself a nice run. David Phillips, 14th. Now, Phillips just hasn't been on tonight, but he's in this points battle, and he hasn't thrown it away by any means in 14th. Kvyat, we haven't talked about him barely at all. The 76 in 15th position, up 8 spots. Bert Wilson also in the top, 16th, and, up 4 spots. Patrick Thompson up 9 spots. Torrey, really one of the more disappointing runs tonight. James going to be a little upset. He had a good qualifying spot. Just hasn't. We had an early little incident or bobble, and it really cost him here. And he's down in 18th. Hastings having a decent night in 19th. McMillan 20th. It's Jamison in 21st, and that's it for our lead lap cars. You got me and TJ and Chandler and Hannah. I look in on Hannah here, the 45, persevering through a speeding penalty back in 25th. Bobby also trying to persevere through this night. And Brad, we know we had some early phone difficulties. Damn employees, I tell you.
Yeah, those freaking guys. But I mean, in all reality, we can look through this field. And there's so many stories. I mean, you look up front. Priest up 6 spots, Sweeting's up 4, Bruce up 5. But you can look back in like 15th and find guys that are, up 8 spots, 9 spots. You talked about Patrick Thomas up 9 spots, currently in the 17th position. They're battling just as hard for that 17th position as we're seeing right now with Priest and Sweeting up there battling for the lead. And, that's one thing that can never be taken away from any of these guys. Every single person in here, whether or not it's for first or for 18th, they're battling lap after lap, trying to get the best finish they can for their team.
They are. And you see Bruce there throws it in. A little deep. Kerr has a weird reaction, gets a little loose. And that's going to pretty much do it for that battle, I think. Him and Chuck were battling for second. And I tell you, Darren worked so hard, ran down about 3 seconds to get up there to him. And that little bobble, that's all it takes against these kind of guys.
Yeah, it really is. And that's one of those things where, a bobble like that just kind of shoots your confidence. I mean, you're like, I'm not going to do that again because I might lose the car. And I might throw away everything I've worked for tonight. And, that's one of those situations where you just can't claw back from a DNF in this league.
As everything settles down around the track with 5 to go, the 0. Jesse Priest looking for his first win here at Wind Tunnel Racing. What a run he's had here this evening. I mean, just nearly perfection here out of the 0 machine. First in the pits, best on the long run. I mean, that's the best of both worlds right there, TJ.
Yeah, it's about impossible to beat that combination is what will win the races here, and he is just laying it to him.
He is. Excellent job as he works around Glenn Jamieson there and James Torrey.
The interesting thing about Priest, if you look, he can run anywhere he needs to on the racetrack, and his car stays under him really well.
Sweeting and Bruce here still doing battle. Bruce has made his way back up to him. We're on 4 to go. looking to get a good drive off the corner. Very difficult to pass here, especially the likes of Sweeting, and the 4 trying to get it done.
Yeah, at this point in the race, your tires are screaming, you're tired. It's a difficult thing to pass, especially somebody like Chuck here.
And he's down low, loose. That's going to end that right there. I mean, he gave it everything he had, and maybe a little too much. But, with 3 to go, it's kind of where you're at. Try something. Try and make something stick that won't. It didn't. And he's going to be relegated to 3rd. And that's the way that's going to be. But Priest, 2 to go here. Trying to get down to see that white flag. It's a beautiful thing. Only one flag looks a little bit better, Brad.
Wow, absolutely. And he's doing everything he needs to do right now, currently in first place, pulling away still from Chuck Sweeting. I mean, you got to sit there and think, you got to be a little bit aggressive, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you have complete and total control of that car. This might be one where, you kind of wait a little bit longer to make sure that machine's straight before you're putting the pedal down to the throttle, if you will, doing everything he needs. As we're in the final lap right now.
Final lap. This 0 used to be the TikTok machine. We can't even ask him to do a dance for us anymore. He's got himself a new ride. That new ride agreeing with him is going to take him right down into 3 with the lead. One more corner for the 0. Through 3, coming through 4, Jesse Priest going to take home victory here at Atlanta, grabbing his first win of the season and first win here at Wind Tunnel. Congrats to Jesse Priest. Chuck Sweeting going to come home in 2nd. Bruce came back after that looseness, and he'll be in 3rd. Schmallenberg, it's Bills, Person, Banks, Royal, Stouffer. We missed Stouffer and Spear, your top 10 guys. Torgensen with 11th place. Believe it or not, that's going to give him the points lead, as Bobby Terrell and myself, Dean Doucette, having issues here tonight. So Troy Torgensen going to be your new points leader, but it's all about the 0. What a night, Jesse Priest.
Yeah, Priest did everything he needed to do, played a little bit of strategy early on, first car to pit road, was able to make it work, then came back, pitted with the leaders, definitely had a little bit of a better car towards the end of it, put Sweeting to the test. We don't know how much damage Schmallenberg had. Obviously, he still didn't have the night he wanted, but still top 5, great run overall tonight. So congratulations to Priest.
And you see Newbras up there with them, and this burnout looks like a happy guy, TJ.
Oh, yeah. I mean, anytime you can win in this league, in my opinion, you've earned a celebration for sure, because it's just such a league stacked with talent. And he beat the best out here, had a great car, great run, didn't make any mistakes, and he's celebrating.
Definitely celebrating. And next week, we'll change that to 8 o'clock. Fridays, 8 o'clock. We'll do these broadcasts. We had a little delay tonight for some file transferring issues, but we're going to be at Charlotte Motor Speedway next week. That should be a good one. And, it's a similar track out here, Brad. So, there's no reason to think Jesse and Chuck and all them aren't going to be very good at Charlotte as well.
Yeah, Charlotte, one of those tracks that kind of everybody knows, and you either love it or you hate it. That's just one of those things. Unfortunately, I won't be at the broadcast next week with you guys, so good luck to that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to a great race next Thursday, and see what we can do.
Yeah, Brad's going to go enjoy himself around the campfire, I think, or a cruise or something. The man's always going somewhere. But we'll be up here in the booth, and Brad will be with us on Wednesday night, I believe, as we cover another series there. So come and check that out. But for myself, Dean Doucette, for Brad Patterson and TJ Bartell, that's going to wrap it up here from Atlanta. And we'll see you right here next time on Wind Tunnel TV.